So, how do I understand what's driving change? This is a model that's from the book Beyond Change Management by Dean Anderson and Linda Ackerson Anderson. I've used this often doing environmental scans at the beginning of either a change process or a strategic planning process. And why it's so important is on the right-hand side, you've got the drivers for change. Remember how I said it's really important to know the reasons why you're asking somebody to change? Well, when you lead a group through these conversations, the why becomes very, very apparent. So first of all, you're looking at the environment. What are the changes happening outside? So if you're going to implement a change, it's probably because of something that's happened outside the organization. You're trying to remain competitive. So I might need a new technology or a new skill set. So what's happening outside? You then speak to your clients in the marketplace. What's happening in their world? What are their expectations of you? And when you hear what their requirements are, wouldn't you want to change and perhaps develop new products or change your services to meet your client needs? That's what you do, right? So there's business imperatives that the marketplace asks of you. Those new business imperatives might impact how your organization runs. More than likely, you might need new IT, new systems and processes, new capabilities for your people. Now, if you're leading your organization through change, if you're including the people who are impacted, in other words, they understand what those drivers are, they're hearing from the clients, they're understanding why you need these new business products, that might inspire them to want to change and to develop new skills. So what I'm saying is having the bigger context, understanding the why, can really help inspire people to want to grow. Now, most environmental scans stop at level 4, the organizational imperatives. They stop here. What is new in this is now asking, well, what are the cultural imperatives? If you're asking me to change the organization, change my systems and processes, what does that mean? I'm changing how people work together. Remember, culture is defined by how people work together. So you're changing the culture. So you need to understand what are now our new cultural challenges. How do we have to change the culture to be able to meet the needs of the business? Cultural imperatives can be broken down into how leaders and staff behave. So how do we want them to behave differently? Remember how I said cultural insanity is expecting your employees to have higher engagement and more collaboration, but maintaining the same leadership style, leadership communication, and what have you. So here what we're saying is, what needs to change on the part of the leaders and the staff? What in their behavior? And if you want their behavior to change, what in their mindset needs to change? So that's the progression. Understanding those drivers for change all the way down to the mindsets. And then where does change have to start? Right down here at the bottom. But what's really important about this slide, and what I want you to take away, is that the change starts down here in the mindsets. Somehow you have to transform people's mindsets so they understand why they need to change. That is like so important. And the power in this is that once you change the mindsets, then the behavior changes, the cultural imperatives change, the organizational, the rippling effect is massive all the way up the line. And when you change the mindset, guess what? New thinking starts to happen. New ideas come up because you've changed the consciousness. Just like Einstein said, you cannot solve today's problem with the same level of consciousness that created them. So what you're doing in this whole process here is changing the consciousness. How does this make sense to you? Does it make sense? It's a very valuable process, and it's in your workbooks and it's in the book itself in terms of being able to go through this. I've never had a situation where it hasn't, because I'm bringing in, first of all, I'm asking my client, okay, what do you want to achieve? So this one IT client I was working with, they were going through cultural transformation because he was a CIO of Transport Canada, and they were now going through shared services. And they hadn't done a mission vision for 10 years. New services were being demanded by their clients. They weren't at the decision-making table where they wanted to be. You know, their clients were talking big data and IT wasn't even there. And he was saying, you know what, I'm really not satisfied with the quality of relationships that we have right now with our clients. And I would really like this to change. And I said, well, great. Let's do an environmental scan with your clients. So we got together all his stakeholders, all his different client groups. And we went through questions. We went through these questions with each of his clients. And he sat there and listened, right? And I took the notes. And then the results were then fed back to his whole management team. And we spent a day looking at them. But the new knowledge that they took away from those conversations were enlightening. It helped them to understand how they needed to change their mindset and to change their behaviors to provide the quality of service that their clients wanted. And you know, their clients were just being very open, sharing their challenges that they were experiencing, because the reality is, it's a hard world now, that there's so much change happening, especially in IT, that the business functions can't keep pace with it. They're dependent on IT to be able to deliver them leadership advice and expertise. And so knowing that changed their mission, changed their purpose. They recognized the quality of service they could be delivering to their clients. They just had to tweak, one little tweak in the way they supported the relationships, and then, you know, going forward, how they were going to change their business processes to support what the clients were asking for. But this whole process, first of all, their clients were thrilled that they were being asked, because before it hadn't happened. So when you have those conversations with your stakeholders, they will feel appreciated and they will share with you what they're looking for. You just have to be prepared to change. And he needed change, he wanted change. So anybody going down this cultural transformation path, they're doing it because they want change. They need to know how. So what I'm sharing with you here is the how. Are questions that will give you key information that will open up and bring you to a new level of consciousness. Because before asking these questions, you were functioning here. After asking the questions, you're automatically going to be functioning up here because you've got new awareness. Critical awareness for your success, especially if you're serving clients.